What's the problem?
Sorry.
What's the problem about Saturday?
I don't know. I was just saying when I was talking about a PowerPoint, like, you know what I mean?
Do you have that?
Alright,
There's
group.
someone's that I
Yeah.
Okay, alright.
Okay.
Jay.
Yeah, prepare a PowerPoint, then you can use you have email or how do you say the driver. That's what be helpful. Okay. So let's begin today's class. We'll have a presentation day today. So we have 4 teams. Welcome the first team. Present their case study.
Morning, distinguished colleagues. I'm John.
I'm Branko.
I'm Karaman.
I'm Aaron.
Okay, and we're doing a presentation on our case study, which is M&L Manufacturing. Just as a quick overview, we want to give an introduction to the company and see what their situation is and how they can be improved. I don't know about you all, but we had 2 questions that we had to look over. So we'll be going over that, and then we'll conclude with a brief summary, and that'll be it. Okay. So as an introduction, so M&L Manufacturing, it says in the case study that they make, their 2 basic products, and it's printers and copiers. Also, they make interchangeable parts, so if you need to fix anything within your printer or copier, they have the parts with it, and I'm not sure if they have other interchangeable parts for different products, but but it's mainly those 2 products and interchangeable parts. So when reading on to the case, it said that the company had trouble with inventory and just efficiency problems because the manager didn't use formalized data analysis to forecast this demand, and this hurt him in the long run because he didn't know what his demand was. He was either producing too much or way less, and he couldn't find a good balance. And so it really just said in the case like this was his problem, so it wasn't too hard identifying that. And then like I said, this problem caused him, lots of money because, he was producing either too much or too little, wasn't gaining enough profits, and therefore, he was losing money. So he was trying to think of a way to fix this problem, and the only viable solution was for him to use formalized forecasting, which was we've been studying for the past 3 chapters, and we're studying into, in depth into the more greater chapters. Okay, so question 1, in the shell it said, what are some of the benefits that are accompanied with formalized forecasting? We came up with 3 results, and me and Aaron will go over each result, or we'll go over each benefit that the company can have while using formalized forecasting. Okay, my benefit that I saw right off the bat, well, they have more accurate results. I mean, if they use formalized forecasting, they'll eventually have more accurate results. Okay, and then more accurate results equals better business decisions. Now, I find that to be true because if you have more accurate results, you have a better grasp of how your company is doing, and therefore you'll accommodate those you'll accommodate those results to your business plan, and therefore make a better profit in the future. Does everyone agree with that? Okay, great. Yeah, I also did a little bit of research by Eisenhart. She made an article about accurate results leads to better business decisions, kind of in a nutshell. And one of the points she made, that she said that strategic business decisions or strategic decisions are a central process that companies follow in order to be successful. Okay, so that's one key point I saw in her reading. Okay.
And another benefit that we saw from a more formalized approach to forecasting, instead of just guessing demand and stuff, was an increase in organization in the company. It's a factor of formalized forecasting, and it helps us understand and apply data to the company for future success. Like if you know your data, you have a more formalized approach to forecasting, you're able to do more with the data than if you, say, didn't have a formalized approach. Like these numbers aren't just numbers, they start making sense. They, looking like demand, you see trends and stuff like that, and so you're better able to prepare yourself for demand in the future. An organization is also critical to solving problems and having continuity for other employees to follow. And it also helps managers keep better track of inventory that they have in, say, like raw materials and finished product in their business process.
And it fixes pretty much the manager's problem in the case study. You know, more organization leads to his more efficient use of his inventory and, you know, better profits.
Another benefit that would come out of formalized forecasting is a decrease in errors for your forecasting. The decrease in errors will improve efficiency. There will be a lot less outliers of demand per month. They'll be able to have a more accurate inventory of finished product that is closer to the actual demand. And that in turn will increase sales and their profitability. Let's see. I think we're good. Yeah.
Yeah, in question 2 we had to forecast the we had to calculate the forecast for the next 4 weeks, and that was for 2 products. And referring to the data of product 1, we decided to use a linear trend because there was a trend in each week of 3 or 4. Except in 1 week there was an outliner, and that was a problem for us because we didn't get accurate function. So we tried to find some approach to deal with that. And at the beginning we use the average of the whole data and get 74.21, and that was too high because the usual trend was only 3 or 4. So we decided to make the average but without the outliner and get also 73, which was also too high. So finally we used only the last and the next data and divided this by 2 and divided that by 2 and get data of 71.5. Yeah, and after that we use the formula of the slope and intercept. These data from product 1, and in the week 7 there was an outliner, and after the approach we use the 70.1.5 and use the formula for the linear trend, and and get a slope of 3.5 and intercept of 46.6, and calculate the forecast for the next 4 weeks. For product 2, we try to.
No, there you go. Oh no, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we also try to use a linear trend for product 2, but the given data was not. We can't see any trend, and it was not really working for product 2.
Alright, can you go to the table, please?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and then like you said, like we didn't see any trend at the beginning by plotting it, because it would be 3 points and then 1 point there would be like it would be up there, like it would be like a spike. If you can see on period 4, we got 46. On period 8, we got 47, and on period 12, we have 49. But if you look closely at 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, they're closely together, and it's increasing somewhat like by 1. I know, 40, 38, 41, and then it ends up at 43, 44. So there was a little bit of a trend. So what we did first was the linear trend like he explained, but there was no linear pattern, so it didn't work. And then the second approach we used was the moving average, where we took the first 10 weeks and then averaged them, and then that's what gave us the forecast for period 11. And then we grabbed 2 to 11, and then got 12, 3 to 12, and then got 13, and then we grabbed all the forecasts from 11 to 14, and then got the MAD and the MAPE for the moving average, which came out to be 1.9 and 3.94. For the period, we did the forecast for 11, 12, 13, 14, and then grabbed the actuals and then the MAD and the MAPE. But here, for period 12, we got the forecast of 42.3, but the actual was 49, so there was a big error of 6.7. So the MAD and the MAPE were big as well because of that. So what we did, it was kind of like a trial and error, and then we went with a naive and intuitive approach. Is that next?
No, the next.
Okay.
This is.
Go up.
Okay.
I'll go down again. Yeah, it's this one right here. So the naive intuitive approach, what we did was for the 1, 2, 3, we averaged those together, and then we add them and then divide by 3, and then that's what the result that was for 5, 6, and 7. So you average these, and then you get a number, and then it would be for 5, 6, 7, and then you average 5, 6, 7, and it would give you the number for 9, 10, 11. And we did this because you can't just go one by one, because if you go one by one, you would get a forecast for period 15, but you won't get a forecast for period 17 or 18 because there's no actual data. So that's what we did, and then got a MAD and MAPE of 1.29 and 3.06 respectively. And then we thought, we kind of just went with it again, like I explained to you earlier, but I don't know if this approach is actually kind of deviating from the naive. But since we saw there's like a little trend of increasing, we did the same thing but added 1. And I don't know if it's accurate or not, but we got a MAD of 0.54 and a MAPE of 1.27%, which is the lowest and best, I guess. But I mean, as a group, we don't think it's accurate, so we went with the naive trend, the first one, without adding 1, which gave us a 1.9 and 3.06%. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so in conclusion, M and L Manufacturing, they need a lot of work trying to fix their business to be competitive in the market, and they can be if they get their inventory straight using these formal formulas to help them get organized. And Aaron and I went over benefits and described, hey, they can actually grow from this. And like Branko and Kara went over, they use we use a lot of calculations to give you a visual of how much they are at right now, and using those formulas in the future will help them grow.
Go back real quick. I forgot to explain period 16. Since we got the forecast we are supposed to do the forecast 15, 16, 17, 18. So we did the forecast for 14, maybe 15, 17, and 18. And since 16 was going to be another outlier or spike, we treated it differently. And what we did, we saw number 4 is 46, number 8 is 47, and then 12 is 49. We treated 16 as another spike, so we grabbed, since from 46 to 47 there's an increase by 1, and then from 47 to 49 there's an increase by 2. We averaged them together 1.5, and then we added it to the last spike, which was period 12, which will be 50.15. That's how we got the forecast for period 16.
Yep. So this is our brief overview. We went over introduction, question 1 and 2, and we concluded briefly. This concludes our presentation. Are there any questions?
Thank you, guys.
Very good. Okay. Any questions? Any questions?
So how did y'all decide to choose going by 3 periods at a time? Was that just because of the trend that you saw? Like you just
Yeah.
Well, as a group, like we talked about it, and we saw first, like he explained, the linear trend wasn't gonna happen because you can't just change 3 numbers. but we saw like a little trend between the spikes, you know, and then we decided to treat the spikes differently.
So the
And go
spikes
with naive.
didn't look like cyclical or anything like that, right? They were all over the board.
The good thing that this team did that as I explained that in the class, if you guys still remember that, when you choose any forecast method, you should calculate the measurement, MAD or MAP, whatever, they choose MAD. So then you can compare like the first one, like moving average with n equal to 3, to moving average with n equal to 4, let's say this example. Otherwise, it's really hard for you to define, like Jack asked this question, why you want to choose moving average n equal to 3, why not 4, why not 2, why not naive? So when you show this to your manager or clients, the best way to show is that number tells the truth. Well, like Branko, he tests several different methods. He chose the method with very low MAD, but with reasonable source, because there's another method with lowest MAD, but it's not the traditional method we have introduced. So that's what we can explain, okay, that's the reason I choose this, with a pretty low MAD and easy to implement, okay, the combination. That's be the best way to explain to your customer or manager.
And the MAD and the MAPE too went down as we kept doing the approaches.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. Second team.
Spider X. What's the paper that you just want to turn into?
Yes. If you finish, you can give me later if you haven't print out. But if you have print out, just give it to me.
Okay, sorry, I'm trying to ask a lot of questions if you just want to go
We did? Oh, whoops. Let's try to speed us along. Guess we got a lot of those to share.
Yeah, we've seen Joe out there.
Did you write your code?
Yeah, really? I knew he was probably gonna be upset. He had the older team. I asked
That was his
him,
birthday.
what he said.
That's what I sent you at like 9:30. It's like 9:39. It was 2 slides. I just sent you.
I mean, he said it was like the only consolation game.
It was 2 slides.
Yeah, well, we showcased
style, there's no actual tournament, it's all just
Yeah.
That's it.
You guys look at the room, getting ready for the game.
Yeah, we just wasn't us, it was nice there. We were just gonna go golfing, but I mean, I figured the ground's kind of wet.
You go full screen.
Charity game.
I was sure he's doing
People can see clearly.
We got one more often now.
Yeah, he's good.
Just press F5, then you go full screen.
How you guys doing today?
Good.
We're the second team. We did the Highline Financial Services. Just a summary of the case. Highline is a financial company that has 3 different types of services to its clients, and they have a managing partner with Freddie Mac. They're starting to prepare of hiring new personnel and financial employees, and they're laying off as well. But after he got the printout, he notices there's like uneven demand between the 3 services they offer to their clients. We came up with a solution where we're going to use 3 methods. The first one is the naive forecast, which is where for any period that equals the previous period's actual value. The second one is the moving average, where the techniques that average a number of recent actual values as new values become available. The third one is the trend adjusted exponential smoothing, where the variation of exponential smoothing used when a time series exhibits a linear trend, which is one we chose as our answer.
Okay, for me, I use the naive forecast method to analyze this case. Why I think naive is fine for this case is in the questions, it told me there is nothing change in the advertising or the promotion or something else. So it's just give us some data so we can analyze it. I think naive is fine. About the service A, okay, here give us 2 years data. And the first year is 1645, 175, and the second year is 1751 and 112 and 85. So we can see in this service, every quarter is increase, and we can get the forecast is the increase. So we can see the service B, and the same way I use it, the naive method, we can get the every quarter is decreasing. So I think this service maybe need to improve or something. And we can see the C. It's mixed. Sometimes it's in decrease and sometimes it's increase. So I can get the forecast is mixed up under like a cycle. Sometimes it's decreasing, sometimes it's increasing. So I make a chart to compare with these 3 categories. So I use naive forecast method and I get the result is the service B. I think it need to improve because every quarter is decrease.
Okay. My approach is during the moving average forecast, because naive is kind of naive. So we decided to choose another one, forecast method, which is moving average. And this is the disadvantage for naive forecast, but this is not very important. What we know is naive is not very accurate, right? And it's just now smooth random variations. It's kind of not useful as the second one, moving average. So this is the why I choose the moving average. And the kind of moving average kind of smooth the data because the data showing in the case is fluctuated. So I chose to this using moving average forecasting. And this is the data from the case. There's 2 years and 8 quarters data for 3 categories of services. The next is moving average, and we need to make the next 4 colors forecast for 3 different services. So the color 8 is the actual, which is foundation for next 4 forecast data. So, and service A is 85 and service B is 50 and C is 100. And this is equation how to calculate the moving average for 3 different services. And I got this chart. And after this, I make a graph for 3 different services. So we can see in about 11 quarters, there is different fluctuated 3 lines showing the graph. And which is service A is kind of increase, you see? And the service B is kind of decrease. And no, service B is decrease. And the service C is kind of unstable. And we don't know what is the data for next quarter. So finally, service A is increased, service B is decreased, service C is most unstable. Each manager don't want to say the service C and the service B, so the suggestion for Freddy, I don't know who it is, but I would suggest using put more efforts for service A. So this is the moving average for 3 services. That's what I did.
Be quick.
I choose trend adjust exponential smoothing forecast because these methods are very related time series, and I put the data in the graph. You cannot see the blue line, it's actual data, and I use Excel to calculate my forecast. This.
What is
this
the alpha and beta you use?
Pardon?
Alpha and beta for trend adjust trend smoothing method. What's the value of alpha and beta?
I had my data in my paper, but I divide by quarter, like 1, 2, 3, 4, year 1 and year 2, and I got the moving average, and then after that I calculate central moving average. The red line is central moving average. And then I got ST and TT for this method, and then I ST multiply TT, ST plus multiply, ST plus TT multiply by T show us like green line. So as you can see, the first service A shows us is really similar with the actual data, and service B is quite similar. It's not 100% accurate, but it's quite similar. And third, service C is pretty close to the actual data.
Yeah.
So.
And in conclusion and overall, we agreed upon the third one is the most efficient for our answer, because as he said, it was more they were both all similar, and moreover the graph showed that the forecasting method is not 100% accurate, but quite similar to the data than the others. And
Questions? Question for that team? Okay, let's move on fast. So, third team.
I got this real quick. That's what I said.
Yeah. I was trying to.
For group 3, and our case was called outsourcing of hospital services. The main thing about this case was it's about a hospital clinic called the Deaconess. It's located in Billings, Montana, and it's decided to outsource a number of its services due to financial pressures that it had. And the 3 services were the cafeteria food service, the housekeeping service, and the laundry service. And they try to use different ways to outsource each service to kind of accommodate the service. With the food service, they try to hire employees from outside the firm, but have them kind of work still within the hospital. And they try the same approach with the housekeeping service, but since the cafeteria people kind of work with the people within the company, but the housekeeping is kind of separate from everybody, so they don't have face-to-face contact. So it didn't work with the housekeeping like it did with the food service. And the way they fixed that was with the housekeeping, they tried to hire the old employees because a lot of people started quitting because they didn't feel like they had the personal, like face-to-face with the company and they weren't a part of the company. So they tried to fix it by hiring old employees that left, and they still outsourced the company, but they managed the housekeeping within it, I guess. I didn't really exactly get that the housekeeping part. And then with the laundry service, they tried to build an approach where they would work with rival hospitals and try to do kind of, it seemed like a partnership to kind of have the workers from both hospitals kind of work together, I guess.
And just the whole reason of outsourcing in general is to outsource like a product or service, and so you don't have to in-house it or produce it in your company. And a great example of that is how UNCP outsources to Sodexo on campus while they're still in-house.
The first question was asking about the advantage of outsourcing, but still having the workers work within the company. And the main advantage was that they get to work, like the food service, they get to work face to face, so they kind of have a personal connection with all the workers within the hospital. And it kind of, that creates a better environment because everybody knows each other, and it kind of uplifts the workers. And the second part of the question was asking about the rationale for outsourcing food services, but not working within the company. And I guess the only reason I would find that kind of working is because the hospital might not want the people to kind of work within together, because they might see that as a problem or something along the lines of that. And it may be cheaper to kind of have the food service workers outside of the hospital and having them work within, so they save money that way.
Alright, so question 2 was about, so when they originally outsourced the housekeeping, they hired a housekeeping management firm to take care of not only the management of the housekeeping, but also the hiring of employees. And when they did this originally, as you said before, the employees felt like they weren't really a part of the community of the hospital. They felt disconnected from the hospital, and some of them started to quit. And then they rehired the employees, but when they rehired them, they outsourced the management of the housekeeping, but the hospital itself took care of the hiring. When they did this, they were able to make the employees feel more a part of the hospital, feel more connected to the people who were there. So it was easy for them to fix the problems they originally had with the outsourcing, while still being able to keep the efficiency of having a housekeeping management team. So one of the big advantages is they didn't need to train the staff. They eliminated that time frame that normally when you would rehire new staff, you have to train them all, but because they rehired previous staff and had a housekeeping management team to watch over all of them, they didn't have to worry about that. Of course, outsourcing is going to be cheaper. That was the main reason they originally started doing it, so it was cheaper for them to outsource. And while keeping the management outsourced, they were able to keep the prices down. Also, with keeping the management of it outsourced, they were able to focus more on the healthcare of the people in the hospital, as opposed to having to worry about taking care of their housekeeping employees as well, because they had a management team for it.
So
So question 3 had to do with the rationale as to why the hospital asked the rival hospital to outsource with them. And there were several rationales that we came up with. One of the first ones was the obvious one, which is it's cheaper to outsource. It's cheaper to outsource with anything. Like you just said, UNC Pembroke has a good example with Sodexo. The second one is they were following to pursue the rest of the hospital with outsourcing. Like when the hospital outsourced housekeeping as well as the food service, they wanted to follow pursuit with that. And I think the main reason was because that they wanted to create job security with the outsourcing. We realized that in housekeeping they had a job fallout, so they wanted to have job security with the employees. So I guess they still have some care for their employees, which leads to job security.
And in addition to that, we did research on it. Obviously, our case didn't have a lot of calculations as compared to a lot of the other cases. Ours was strictly research, kind of rationale-based, professional opinion-based type questions, to where we had to do a lot of research on it, finding that 2 to 3% of an annual hospital's budget is actually on laundry services. So obviously this is a big deal. Getting a rival hospital winds up being a win-win for both hospitals, as you wind up going green, helping your CSR platform, and you also wind up cutting your costs together. So kind of in the end, basically, it's clear to see that when you're outsourcing, it relates strictly to operations management. You really have to focus on the overall picture of cost efficiency, supply chain management, inventory management for the outsourcing. Those are all factors you need to look at to determine whether the rationale for it is actually one that's going to be beneficial for your clinic, your company, or your industry. So basically, in the end, outsourcing was the way to go for this particular clinic in regards to the food carrying service and the laundry service. For the housekeeping service, they outsourced the management but not their employees so that they could keep a family atmosphere, as the hospital is very 24/7. And you need to have everybody in sync so that the patients, the doctors, the nurses, and everything know who's in the hospital. They can feel secure and that the system is continually efficient, continually running. So in the end, outsourcing was the way to go, but it might not be the way to go for another hospital or another industry or another clinic.
Any question for the team for the outsourcing? Good. Okay. Thank you.
Four.
You guys voice something you can say.
I'm not.
I just
I'm not. You just want to continue.
I'll put it like ours wasn't taking that long.
But just start slide so. I know.
Is that up here or do I need to lay down?
Depends on you.
It's fine.
Alright, that's cool. I guess I'll start it out. Good afternoon, good morning, everybody. We're group 4, and we're doing a presentation on Hello Walmart. Sham, Kristen, Bernard, Jacob, and Ben. Alright, so first of all, one of the main factors between Walmart is we have to try to differentiate between the pros and the cons of if Walmart will be a good business entity to have in a small type of rural area. For instance, like Pembroke. Pembroke is actually a good place because normally with a lot of college students, a lot of students can be able to afford goods at Walmart because of low price, low cost method. But for instance, for high volume, fast turnover, a lot of kids can be able to purchase a lot of items quickly. At the same time, a lot of items can also be replenished at a fast rate. Push-pull production. When I was looking for research for that, basically what happens is for that company, it lures manufacturers towards bringing more customers into the company. So for instance, like you'd have like TV companies, shoe companies, like what's one shoe company for Walmart? Shack. Like Shack. Also different foods and whatnot. And also we use a push mechanism which shows the ideas of how marketers use their products to customers. Also another pro would be the benefits of less driving for one stop, one shop location. So the best thing for locational factors is in a small rural area, it's kind of hard sometimes to be able to drive for long distances to get different type of items. But with Walmart being there, one of the great things about it is you won't have to necessarily spend more money to go and come. So having a great place like Walmart, you can be able to shop and spend a good amount without having to rely on transportation, which could be very, very cost effective. Secondly, locational factors, which also involve having a place where everything is at a consumer's fingertips. So just like I said with the first, one shop, one stop, it's always a great place just to be able to purchase everything that you need to have without worrying about, say, I have to try to compete with Target or with Lowe's or Home Depot, those type of businesses. And also the trust on products at hand. Walmart has a very, very high margin when it comes to having trustful products. That way, and then also you can return them at any time, and it also does really well with customer service. All right. Exposure. Pretty much like when you bring more people from other rural areas to shop other than Walmart, it really creates value in terms of helping the entire market or the entire structure of the small business entity of the rural area. It's also great for smaller production in some areas as well. And locally, a lot of businesses thrive off of Walmart because, well, small businesses thrive off of Walmart because dealing with when you have a lot of people that actually shop, normally people get tired, so they want to go to a restaurant or go to a fast food place just to get food, which also helps the economic chain as well. And also, my last part will be increase for profits for the greater good. In general, it always helps just to increase small businesses and profits because with Walmart being so huge, a lot of businesses tend to shut down because of the mega power of Walmart.
The approach to the town residents, and one of the main things is kind of the new jobs that are available to the local community right away because they offer like people with low skills, and just around the community there's a significant amount of new jobs that are created. And then, as they were saying earlier, for a town resident, it's convenient since you're local that you got a store that offers a plethora of goods and products that are sold, as well as it's a low cost option. And then new Walmart, it brings a sense of economic stability to the city because if Walmart's there, it's going to attract other businesses and whatnot, and hopefully the town residents will benefit from government infrastructure getting stronger in highways.
Although it's convenient for customers, just go to Walmart, get what you need, low price, it's actually hurting mom and pop shops, stores, sorry. But whether they've been around for 50 years or more, or they're new and upcoming and trying to make themselves a big franchise, Walmart's really not letting them. It's restricting them and closing them down. So no matter which direction you go from Walmart, there's a very high rate of business closures in immediate vicinity. And the further away you get, the less and less you see businesses closing down. So further out from the store, about 4 miles or so, the rate of closure is about an average or roughly 24% of small businesses. An average per mile closure rate increase for drugstores is almost 20%. For home furnishings, it's about 15%. For hardware stores, it's about 18% per mile. And for toys, it's more than 25% per mile. According to Daily Mail, a study produced by Loyola University found that in Chicago, over 82 stores went out of business in 2 years after a Walmart opened in 2011. more small businesses are going under on account of not being able to compete with Walmart's prices, and they're finding it harder to maintain loyal customers because of that.
Changing negative views. Walmart definitely does have a lot of like negative criticism toward like once they move into like a certain area as far as closing down businesses and stuff like that. Traffic, everything like that. But definitely some things that they do help out on is like helping impoverished communities, giving jobs once they move into like a small community. Benefits of lower prices. So if you can pay less for what you're buying, then your real income goes up, which means you have more money to spend on other things. Convenience, they usually like build in like it's kind of like the middle of like the community or somewhere where it's like a centralized location, not really like off. So they get like most of the business from around there. So it's real short for everybody to drive. Expanded operating hours. Most of the time Walmart is open 24/7, unlike around here where it closes at 12. It's kind of weird. And also a wider range of products. Since Walmart's like big, they can offer different kind of like breads. Different kind of products, off even like clothes. It's a one-stop shop. Everybody knows that. The stance for Walmart that they can take would be these are just kind of like different things. Like if somebody was to say like why they're doing things, like people say that Walmart doesn't like competition because pretty much when they move in, a lot of other small businesses like say Food Line and like Piggly Wiggly. I don't understand how they're still around, but we're encouraging competition by offering more products and services. Individuals or other businesses who don't want Walmart coming into town just don't want to compete. Walmart will be open 24/7 except for around here and has been designed that way for the customer's convenience. We know that's pretty much the same thing. Walmart offers its customers quality products at affordable prices so they can have more money on matters they deem more important or other things. Pretty much the same one. And by presenting their argument this way, pretty much more consumers and customers will be less apprehensive about Walmart coming into town. As far as like business owners, mom and pop shops, they won't be so apprehensive about Walmart coming to town. Instead, they may use it as an opportunity and use it as an advantage instead of a disadvantage.
You got something else to say too?
Yeah. The final question for our project was like how will Walmart present things to the board so they can be seen in a positive light and make the board actually want to accept the fact that Walmart wants to bring in a Walmart into the community. And the ways that it can do that is actually playing up the pros that Walmart brings to the community. So as far as higher employment rates, the bringing in the income, the traffic that it can create for local, for students and stuff like that, like the overall availability of Walmart would be a benefit for a smaller community if they were trying to bring it in and presenting things to the board. They would, I got a brain fart. They would really play up on the jobs that it creates though, because in a small community, if you're gonna bring a big chain into it, the jobs that it creates is gonna be the most important thing, because you're gonna take away from a lot of local people that do a lot of local things. So if you wanna bring a chain in, Walmart has to convey to the board that, hey, these jobs that we're creating are gonna be more beneficial to the people in the community that surrounds us instead of the mom and pop stores and stuff like that. So, yeah.
All right.
Does anyone have any questions?
Comments, concerns?
Question, comments? No? Walmart is an interesting case. Is anybody here really have strong negative opinion on Walmart? Raise your hand. Nobody has very negative opinion on Walmart here?
It's a half and half for me.
I think most of everything we looked, a lot of it was negative. Pretty much them driving down the price of all their, people that supplying them and stuff like that.
I think the reason in this group, in this class, most of you guys don't have such negative opinion because first, frankly speaking, we are poor. So we like these cheap stuff, including myself, right? I don't have very negative opinion. Secondly, probably because you are not working for pop and mom store or maybe small business. If you are really working this way, you know that this like Christian has shown that it just kill a lot of small business. It's a common problem. Do you guys know that some area in Walmart they forbid or prohibit Walmart store to open? Do you know any area?
They what?
They forbid. They just exclude the Walmart from the government. Do you know any area in the United States?
Seattle, that's in Arizona.
New York.
New York.
New York. In the New York, there's no Walmart. In fact, they have a very strict rule. I know that's because when I moved from Indiana to New York, my wife, she's really worried about the living cost. She said, okay, you go to Connecticut to work, and then can we survive or live a still similar level? I told her that as long as there's a Walmart, right, you probably get a similar price in Indiana. So I did a Google search. I find the first Walmart closed in New York City is in New Haven, which is in the Yale University. That city, Yale University. But it's already about 80 miles away from Manhattan. You can see that like 50 miles around Manhattan, there's no Walmart because New York City, they really want to protect the small business, which is the best model of the small business in the United States. It's New York City. So I think they did a pretty good job. But whether we should do the same way, it's Pembroke, totally different. Right? So it really depends on your city, on your opinion, on the community pressure that you decide to Walmart. Okay. Very good. So we'll see you guys on Wednesday.